A bridge that brings people together. And here in the Commonwealth, it's no different. From the gridiron to the hardwood and beyond, we all have a team we love to talk about. Now for the teams you care about, here's Heartland Sports Live with Trevor Rice.
And welcome into Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio 1400 AM, and we live stream on ESPNRadio1061.com. I am previewing this hour with the Central Hardin Bruins football team. We're going to preview their season coming up, and we are just weeks away, people. Can you believe it already? I have head coach Tim Mattingly, I have Gavin George in here, and I have Dylan Butterworth in here as well, as we're going to talk about their 2019 season and what all we expect here from Bruins football. Hopefully, Coach, we're going to begin with you. We don't begin with quarterback issues like we did a year ago, because that I cannot imagine any scenario, whether it be a coach or just at any level of coaches, that they've ever had to deal with something like what you dealt with last year.
It was definitely a season to remember and to forget at the same time, so we've really tried to put it behind us. Thankfully, Chase Elmore has recovered completely, stronger than ever, and he looks great right now. So, we and I feel like we also have quality backups now at that position, and it was just a scenario that just kind of snowballed on us. We went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and ended up with our fifth quarterback, and it was just one of those things. There was never or ever will be a contingency plan for getting to that point. So, again, we're just going to move forward and put that in the past.
Yeah, and you want to put that in the past. Real quick, just how you talked about your quarterback coming back. I guess the thing is, does he look like he is ready to go for week one? Is he going to be that impact player you expect him to be?
Absolutely. In many ways, he's from a standpoint of throwing the ball and seeing things and making his reads and physically being ready and mentally being ready, he is in tip-top shape in all those areas.
Dylan and Gavin, let's talk to you guys real quick, because last year, obviously, you dealt with the struggles firsthand. You were players that people are looking to you as kind of that leadership role and what you're bringing here to this year's team. Go back to last year real quick and talk about, because every football team, it seems like they're always going to have the highs and lows, and you dealt with some lows last year. Talk about how you guys kind of overcame that and how it's made you better going into this season.
I think we had to stick together. Like coaches came in, and after we found out that Chase was out for the season, coach just told us that we gotta stick together. We just it's another level of adversity that we gotta handle, and just next man in line. We had just stick together as a team and just work forward, and just get ready for the next game.
You have some comments you want to add to that, Dylan?
We can't put all of our success just on one person. We all have to know our part, and even if someone gets hurt, we have to know what to do to get back in there.
Again, we are previewing Central Hardin's 2019 season, 3-8 a year ago, and they have their starting quarterback back. And we're gonna get rid of those conversations now, because we're gonna look ahead to this year and what all we're expecting here. Let's begin with the offense, Coach. Obviously, you guys like to establish the run game, and then if the passing situation opens up, you will get to that. What do we expect on offense for Central Hardin Bruins football this year?
I think you'll see a very balanced attack. I think probably with Chase and Gavin and some other guys we have that can catch the ball. I can see us opening up our offense and spreading the wealth quite a bit and trying to throw the ball more. But again, I do like to use the run to set up the pass, and that's just been my mentality all along. But I foresee us being able to throw the ball and be very effective in that area, something that maybe people haven't seen in a few years. But, we have thrown the ball quite successfully the last 5 years, with the exception of last year. So I feel like we're going to really hopefully make teams adjust to that and maybe be harder to defend with that ability to spread the field and get the ball out and, throwing some screens and throwing some deep balls and kind of mixing it up some. But again, we will establish all that based on a hard-nosed running attack as well.
Yeah, in order to have a hard-nosed running attack, you have to have a great offensive line. And it seems like you've been able to keep that rolling throughout the years. And how are we looking up front this season?
Right now, I'm very pleased with our progress. We still have work to do. We still have a lot of areas technique-wise to clean up. But as far as a standpoint of some depth there, I feel like we have some quality players that can step in and not just back up somebody. I feel like we have competition right now for several spots on the offensive line, which competition's a great thing. Because as long as you have competition, you really never can rest. You can't kind of set back and say, well, I've got this starting spot, anchored down. That's not the case right now. We have competition. We have 3 or 4 tackles, vying for 2 spots. We have at least 4 to 5 guards that are vying for 2 spots. We have a couple of centers. So, I feel like we have depth. I feel like we have competition going on at those key positions. So I think that's going to be a positive for us down the road.
Dylan, you're one of the big uglies up front for this offensive line as far as what coach is depending on to get this offense rolling. Talk about the unit around you and how you feel like your play is going to excel this year.
I feel like everyone knows what they're supposed to do. It's just the act of doing it. Like every now and then they make mistakes, but that's just how football goes. You learn from those mistakes and get better.
Gavin, you're one of those guys that you will not hesitate to demand the football just because of the skill that you bring and your size compared to everybody else you're out there on the field with. You're clearly, to me, going to be a number one go-to receiver. Do you kind of cherish that a little bit? Do you want to be that guy that is going to go and attack the secondary on the defense?
I mean, of course, that's. A receiver, you have to have that mindset as a receiver. If you don't want to go attack the secondary, then why are you out there? That's the whole point. We're gonna run the ball. We got Dianco and Collar back there. So then once teams start noticing the running game, then that's gonna open up the passing, and then it's just gonna be hard to defend us because we got like I said, Dianco and Collar back there running the ball, and then once we throw the ball, then you got me, Dianco, and Sean out there to cover, and it's just going to be hard for teams to defend us all the way around.
How do you feel about your receiving core this year, Coach?
We're very strong. We competed in some 7-on-7s in July, right after the dead period. We were very competitive there and did really well, and I saw some very positive things as far as guys with good hands going up and making plays. So I feel like our passing game is probably ahead of where it's been the last few years. So again, that's something we hope to exploit and use to a big advantage for us.
Again, we are previewing Central Hardin's 2019 season with head coach Tim Mattingly, Gavin Georgian here, seniors, also Dylan Butterworth in here on the offensive and defensive line here on Heartland Sports Live. Let's go ahead and talk about the defensive side of the football now. Dylan, you have a little bit to be a part of this as well. How are you looking this year? Because I feel like that's been one of the strongest points of your team over the last several seasons. Let's go with you, Dylan, or Coach, if you want to talk about this.
Well, we do return 7, maybe even 8 guys, at least 7 starters and 8 if you count another player that played significant time last year. So we return a big core. Our whole secondary will be back and intact, and a lot of experience on their belt with Gavin, Dianco, and Chase back there. All those guys are 3 going on 4-year starters, and Gavin and Chase both were starting by mid-season last year, 4 years ago as a freshman. So those guys have seen it all out there in the secondary. Our linebacking core, I feel like, is an area that right now we've really got to focus on our outside linebackers. We kind of lost some of our depth there. We're really focusing in on that. But our defensive line is improving daily, and another area I feel like we'll have good depth on the defensive line. And one of the strengths I really like about this year's coming team is the depth up front on both sides of the ball, and I feel like that's always good. If you can keep those big guys fresh and don't demand those guys to go both ways a lot, I think that really pays off, especially going into the fourth quarter. So I feel like that could be a strength for us on defense, especially up front.
How do you guys feel as players? Gavin, do you play defensive too?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought I remember you playing defense. Talk about that aspect of the game, because you guys are out there for several plays, and the first part of the season is going to be hot, as you know, so you have to stay hydrated. Talk about going both ways, and the defensive aspect, how you guys feel like you'll be as a unit out on the field.
I think we're going to be pretty good, honestly. Like Coach said, we got 7 returner starters. Our secondary is going to look strong. Dianco with 3 years, and me and Chase with 4. And I think we've seen it all. So I think we're going to be, pretty locked in secondary-wise. And I think our linebackers and our line, I think they're, everybody's looking good. I think we're going to be pretty good defensively.
What about you, Dylan?
We have depth, like Coach was saying, so like if people get tired, they can go in there and they know what they're supposed to do to help keep the defense together while we're out or while they're in, just keeping everybody fresh.
We are going to now look at your schedule. Let's talk about some of the tough opponents you guys will be facing. Of course, you always want to go out and beat the teams that matter most, like North Hardin and Meade County. But what about this year's schedule, Coach? There's going to be some challenges there that they're going to test your team early. Do you think this schedule that you can beat a majority of these teams on the schedule this year? I
love our schedule this year. For one, we have 5 home games, and last year we were again one of those scenarios you didn't want to be in with only 3. So, we're 5-5 this year, 5 on the road, 5 home. All of our this year, all of our away games are really close. Our longest road trip today this year is to Barron County, and but I really like, especially the front part of our schedule before we get into district play. I think it's a very competitive schedule. We'll be challenged, from different styles, different types of play. But, overall, I just think it's one of those schedules that if we really come out and play hard and get after it, I think we're going to have a really good chance to win some games. But, again, all that has to be proven out on the field.
Yeah, and something that's interesting this season is all the local teams play each other. Yeah. All the Hardin County schools are playing each other this year. How did that all come together, first of all, and how do you feel about getting back into facing teams like E-Town?
I think it's awesome. I think just rivalries are great for your fan base. It's great for your school, your community. Not to mention the financial gates you get because of those big rivalries, like playing at E-Town again. That's just been anticipated now for years. So I just think it'll be a great fan base there for both sides, and it's just great to restart that rivalry and hopefully have some competitive games for several years to come.
How do you guys feel about that, playing some of the area teams this year? I know there's got to be a little bit of competitive spirit there between all the different Hardin County schools. I'm sure that you want to beat them pretty bad. What are your thoughts on the season?
I'm so ready. I get goosebumps, just thinking about it, especially, playing E-Town this year. It's the first time in a while, and, senior year, it's, I'm speechless. I'm so ready to play. But overall, I think I really like our schedule. I really think, if we come out and play, I think we can get, 9-10 wins, I think, as long as we come out and play. But I'm really confident about our team.
Do you have anything to add to that, Dylan?
All these close games like E-Town and North and all that's what keeps you going in the middle of practice in the hot weather. You're thinking about that competitiveness and wanting to go out there and win every time.
Being a senior, you're going to be dressing up as a Bruin one final time this season. Do you have any thoughts on that? Has it really sunk in? Talk about that.
Yeah, thinking about it, so far like spring and all the way up to now, it's definitely something in the back of your mind. But that's just, you just want to work as hard as you can because this is our last ride. We want to put all of our effort that we have. We want to have a great season. So later in life we can look back. Our senior season was a success.
Coach, what does the senior group mean to you?
All these guys. I can't think of anybody, maybe with the exception of maybe Dianco, who moved in right in midway through his freshman year. They've been with us for 4 years. We're returning 22 seniors. So those guys have stuck together. They've worked hard, and I'm proud of them for that because, football's a tough sport. If you read anything across this nation and across the state, participation numbers in football is down. It's just because it's one of those things that's tough and it's hot and it's physical but this class right here, we have a great class, good numbers, so I really admire them for sticking together and putting in the work. And those guys, this whole senior class, they're very competitive. Like, they want to win, even in practice. There's a little trash talking going on in practice and smack talking, but I tell our guys that's great. Just as long as when you get in the locker room, you're brothers. On the field, if you're going to get after each other, that's what you want. You want to see that competitive spirit. So these seniors definitely bring that, and I really appreciate that.
You guys have some scrimmages coming up against some area schools before the season starts. How do you feel that you are going into those, and what areas do you feel like the team needs to work on most as you get ready for week one of the regular season, Coach?
I like our two scrimmages. First, LaRue County will be a very physical, and they're a big football team. They have some good size, and so they're going to test us up front, running the football. So we're going to see how we are against the run right away, and they'll be tough, hard-nosed on defense. So we'll have to be able to see if our offensive line is where it really needs to be. And Coach Jaggers does a great job. So I really think that's going to be a tough, hard-nosed scrimmage, that first one. And then the second scrimmage, we flip the switch and play a spread team, Franklin County, who, from what I hear, has a great quarterback and receiver, one of the top in the state. So I feel like that's going to, be a drastic contrast to what we saw from LaRue. So now it's going to test our ability to defend the pass and defend the spread team, which really prepares us for week one. Davies County is all-out spread, throwing the ball all over the place. So I really feel like that second scrimmage gets us ready for our first game. So I really like our scrimmages. I think they'll be competitive. They're both at home. And, hey, scrimmages are free. Come out. We don't charge admission. Come out, eat at our concession stands if you like, and, cheer us on. But it'll be two very good competitive scrimmages, I feel.
What area do you feel like this team needs to work on most as you get ready for week one? Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff you'd like to clean up, but is there one area from last year that you thought you were lacking that you want to see improvement in drastically as we get into the start of this football season?
Oh, there's several areas. Probably the top one or two is just from technical things. Like right now, we're having a little trouble with our shotgun snap, so. Those are things I lay awake at night thinking about. If we can't get a shotgun snap, we may not be in the shotgun. So, we've got to clean that up, and we're really focusing, on that. So, just little things like that. But those little things, your technique up front, your route running, your stock blocking, your ability to break down, make open field tackles, those little fine points that some people don't notice are the ones that get you beat, or those are the ones that put you over the edge and give you a win. So we're really just focusing on fundamentals, being sharp fundamentally, and also being in shape. Early in the season, those first few games are hot. If you got to hydrate properly, and if you don't do those things, and those are little things. If you don't do those things, you'll find yourself 0-1 or 1-1 or 1-2. So we have to pay attention to those details.
Let's go to the players here. Gavin and Dylan, personal goals you have for this season?
Personal goals? I haven't really thought too much on it. I'm just so ready for the season. Like, I just want us as a team just to go out and just, punch people in the mouth. Like, it's like, last Friday, I'm so speechless. Like, I'm so, pumped and ready. Like, I haven't really thought about personal goals. I just want, us to have a great season, and I don't even care, who we go up against. I'm just so confident in our team.
I just feel like everyone's going to look back at our past season, see that we was 3-8, and think that we're not as good as we are now. So I would just want to go out there and just punch them in the mouth and, show them that we're better now and that we're all healthy and we're good to go.
Again, we are previewing Central Hardin's 2019 season. We have head coach Tim Mattingly. We have seniors Gavin George, Dylan Butterworth in here, as well as we're previewing the Bruins and what we expect this year. 3-8 a year ago. I expect a lot better situation now that you have your quarterback back. You guys look healthy, and hopefully it stays that way through the first few weeks. Are there any concerns about the first few games, Coach, with you? Obviously, staying hydrated, you had mentioned it, that aspect of it, because it is hot during the first few weeks. But can you do anything as a coach to have these guys ready conditioning-wise, or just obviously you never know how it's going to go play by play? But what can you do as a coaching staff, I guess, to have these guys as ready as possible in week one?
Well, we take our conditioning seriously, so you can ask these guys about that. We don't slack up on our running, and we don't slack up on our tempo in practice. So physically, if they're not ready physically, that's my fault, but they're going to be ready. They're going to be ready. They're either in shape or they're going to be in shape by week one. I guarantee you that. And the hydration part, our coaches are constantly monitoring them and preaching to them about proper hydration, what to drink, what not to drink, when to drink stuff, proper nutrition, those things. We focus on those things big time. And another thing we're doing in practice right now, and these guys will tell you this, we're rotating players in. Like, we're getting them ready. Okay, you just went 4 hard plays, you're out for 2. You just went 3, or you just broke a long run, or you just caught a long pass. Okay, you're out the next play. So the next guy up's getting in there getting reps, and we're doing that in practice. So we're preparing our kids. These guys are maybe a backup. They're getting quality reps with the first group, ready to play as needed and if needed, assuming situations like that come up. So we're preparing with that in practice every day.
I guess the final question is, before we get to these scrimmages, I guess what things do you guys feel like you as players you need to work on most at this point to be ready for the first scrimmage coming up?
I just think we just gotta go in every day in practice and just keep improving on everything. As a team, as a unit, I just think we just gotta keep improving, which we are.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys stopping in, and we're only a few weeks away from here at the start of this high school football season. We will have you guys when you take on Daviess County here in week 1, which is that a 7:30 game? I think it's a 7:30 p.m. game Friday.
It's probably an 8 o'clock game because they are on Central time zone, and typically you split the difference when you're in different time zones.
That is true.
I'm positive it's 8 o'clock kickoff.
So yeah, we will have you guys there on that Friday night, and look forward to calling that game as we look forward to the high school football season finally being here. You guys have good luck in those scrimmages, and we'll see you come Friday the 23rd.
Thanks, Trevor, for having us on. Appreciate that.
That is Friday, August 23rd at 8 p.m. as Central Hardin takes on Daviess County. That'll be the kickoff to our 2019 high school football season on 106.1 ESPN Radio. When I come back, I will have Ryan Lemon of KSR. They will be at Kentucky Jeep and Truck coming next Monday, a week from today. And 10 until noon is when they'll be doing their show, and you'll be able to catch that not only on 106.1 ESPN Radio, but you could go out there live. We'll talk to Ryan Lemon coming up next. It's Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio.
Hi, this is Wes Arnold, head football coach of the Fort Knox Eagles. You're listening to Heartland Sports Live with Trevor Rice on 106.1 ESPN Radio.
And welcome back into Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio, 1400 AM, and we live stream on ESPN Radio 1061.com. Before we get into our interview with Ryan Lemon, I got to tell you this hour is brought to you by CC Power Sports. They're off exit 121 just south of the Snyder at Brooks Road off I-65. You can get your hands on a new or pre-owned Suzuki ATV, motorcycle, or scooter while the deals are hot. That's CC Power Sports. They're just a short drive up I-65 in Shepherdsville. Well, I have Ryan Lemon on the line with me, and you could catch Kentucky Sports Radio here weekdays, Monday through Friday, 10 until noon. Ryan, we'll be seeing you and the crew out here in Elizabethtown and Hardin County as soon as next Monday, next week.
Yeah, making a return trip back to Hardin County, Elizabethtown. So we're excited about it. I guess the last time we were there was maybe January, I think, early January. So it's been a little while since we've been there.
Yeah, and we're glad you guys are coming back. Kentucky Jeep and Truck. That is Monday, August 12th, and that's a 1 week from today. If you're keeping track at home, we're going to have Ryan Lemon, Matt Jones, and the crew of KSR. They'll be doing their show live at Kentucky Jeep and Truck, and you get to make the rounds here, Ryan. Summer months, the summer tour's going on. Do you have any place in particular you like over, other parts of the state, or do you just meeting the people in general just is kind of like your highlight?
Well, we try not to play favorites, Trevor. We try to act like we love every place, but there's a couple places I love to go. One of them is Conley Bottom. It's the boat dock down on Lake Cumberland. I mean, it's just beautiful down there. It's to me, Lake Cumberland may be the most beautiful place in our entire state, and Conley Bottom is awesome. And they had this horrific fire down there right before Memorial Day weekend, and the fact that they have rebounded from that, we were just down there last week. It just makes me so proud of them down there. That when we go there every year, I hate to play favorites, but unless we're doing a show in my living room, that is my favorite place to go every year. Is Conley Bottom.
Yeah, and there are some places. I mean, you don't have to hold back your bias on this show, Ryan. We totally understand. we totally understand. I mean, just like you guys on KSR, don't hold your bias back. You totally support Kentucky athletics. We don't do the same thing here. We just keep it real, and that's the way we like it. Ryan Lemon of Kentucky Sports Radio joining us here on Heartland Sports Live. How has the summer been for you guys in particular? I know there's been a lot of dead talk. You guys kind of changed the scenery on your show during the summer months, talking about other subjects. So I guess what's been the hottest thing lately with you guys?
Well, it has been a slow summer as far as sports goes. I mean, we came off the basketball season, and we've been talking more football more than anything. I mean, we've probably talked more football this off season than we have any other summer shows. And deservedly so. You know, they had that great season, a 10-win season. You know, culminated with the Citrus Bowl win over Penn State. Then they had the big day on draft day with Josh Allen and the guys all signing pro contracts. So we've talked a ton of football. But these summer shows, you're right, man. It could just go off the rails talking about anything. It's been kind of a crazy summer. We had Jason Brown on today from Last Chance U, the coach that's in the season of Last Chance U, had him on today, and it was one of the best interviews. I'd say it was one of the top 2 or 3 interviews we've ever had on our show. Obviously, nothing to do with Kentucky sports or UK, but yet it was very interesting. And we really enjoyed it. So the summer shows, to me, are sometimes the more entertaining things that we do, but it has nothing to do with Kentucky or sports. Listen, I have got to let my dogs in. It is pouring down rain right now while we're doing this interview, so I can't let my dogs in while we're doing this.
Oh, no, you're completely fine. Ryan Lemon of Kentucky Sports Radio joining us here on Heartland Sports Live. One of the most emotional shows, I would have to say, in KSR's history was that next show after the death announced of one of the Kentucky greats, Jared Lorenzo. Talk about that and that whole experience, and maybe your thoughts about that day.
That was tough. That was really tough. He died on Wednesday, July 3rd, and we didn't have a show on the 4th of July or the 5th of July. Probably just a blessing that we didn't. I don't know if we could have done a show those 2 days after he passed away. I mean, I know I couldn't have. It would have been tough. So we had 4 days to let it sink in, really, before we had to do a show, and yet it was still, super hard to sit there and talk about losing one of your friends in front of a live audience. We were at Hart County High School doing a live show on a summer tour, and I broke down, during the show talking about him. But, I mean, we had to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have to talk about him in front of a live audience on the radio, but I knew we had to do it because he was a big part of what we do. He did our football pregame shows with us for 4 or 5 years. Every time Matt was gone, he was the first guy I called to come and sit in with us as a co-host. So he was a big part of what we do. So I knew we had to talk about it, but it was tough, man. It's tough because he wasn't just a coworker. He was a good friend. I mean, he was a big part of my family because of what he meant to my middle son. He was my middle son's hero. I mean, a lot of young kids pick LeBron or Kyrie or Steph Curry. My middle son picked Jared Lorenzen to be his hero way back when he was 3 and 4 years old, and Jared just was a big part of my family. So it was hard to talk about, and it's still hard to talk about. And he was way too young. 38 years old is way too young to have to say goodbye. And he's got a 9-year-old and a 16-year-old that he had to leave behind. So it's been hard. But the outpouring of support for Big Blue Nation, Trevor, has just been overwhelming and unbelievable, and it just shows you the love they have for that guy and will always have for that guy, what he meant for Big Blue Nation and will always mean for Big Blue Nation.
Ryan Lemon of Kentucky Sports Radio joining us here on Heartland Sports Live. That's one of the biggest things, one of the reasons why I love college sports so much more than professional is just for the fact that you kind of alluded to it, saying that, you know, the outpouring of support for a guy like Jared Lorenzen, who primarily is known for his time in college. And, you know, Lexington is a college town, and you get these college towns, these smaller towns that, you know, that have a college atmosphere. It seems like the community is much more closer than, you know, where some of your professional teams are in the cities. Am I wrong in saying that?
You're exactly right. You're right. Just if he had played when he played for the New York Giants in the NFL, you get lost in the shuffle. You playing for the Detroit, you know, Lions, you get lost. But you play for the University of Kentucky in Lexington, Kentucky. Everybody in this state knows who you are, and you're the quarterback for Kentucky. Everybody knows who you are. On top of it, you're a good guy. You're a good person. You're great with the fans, young and old alike. Yeah, you become a rock star. I mean, Tim Couch is probably the biggest rock star-esque football player since I've been around. Jared Lorenzen is probably 1A, or 1 and 1A, just because of the way he was with the fans and the way fans gravitated towards him. Because, like, you know, he was one of us. He was a big, fat guy that played football, just like we all could be that. We could be that guy, you know, and it was tough, man. And I need to apologize to you. I know you reached out to me, wanted me to come on your show that week. There was a lot of shows that were trying to get me on. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't talk about it there for a while because it was tough. He was a good buddy, and, you know, we're all going to miss him.
No, I totally understand that, and I didn't take the silent treatment or the not responding as a negative or just a slap in the face, because I totally understood the situation and totally got that aspect of you know, the emotions, because I know all of you guys were pretty close to one another. Well, you guys are coming back to Hardin County like we've talked about. Kentucky Jeep and Truck, Monday, August 12th. That's 1 week from the time of this interview. And what would you say is the one thing when you come back to Hardin County, Ryan? What's the one thing you like about this county?
You know, the fact that we don't come to Elizabethtown, Hardin County that often means that we get really good crowds. You know, I think when we come to the communities just occasionally, I think that seems to generate a bigger, more exciting crowd. Like when we came out to the trampoline park, and we had a huge crowd, and they were excited. You know, they were into it. So that's what I like. And, you know, E-Town's one of those towns that I think they kind of get forgotten sometimes, kind of stuck out there in the middle between Lexington and Louisville and Bowling Green a little bit. You know, you go through E-Town all the time, but yet, you know, you kind of forget about them being a big UK hotbed sometimes. So I was really, really impressed the last time we were there by the UK support that we got. So I fully expect we'll get another big UK crowd again when we come out there on the 12th. I really do. So I'm excited about it. Speaking
of hotbeds, I mean, there's players in this area in particular that Kentucky football is looking at. How are the prospects going? And just the amount of, I guess, attention that's being shown to Lexington here recently from last year's success on the gridiron, and you would have to think that here moving forward, that for Coach Stoops and that staff, getting in-state players has to be a little easier, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. And you see the talent level in this state has gotten better, and it's not by accident that Kentucky is getting these kids right when Vince Merrill took over recruiting Kentucky. You know, I think they had the foresight to see, hey, Kentucky is about to get some really good, talented kids coming up through the state of Kentucky. Okay, Vince, you need to take over recruiting Kentucky. You know, Vince had Ohio, and that's why we were having so much success in Ohio. They gave Vince the point of recruiting Kentucky kids. All right, you've landed, you know, John Young, that kid from Christian Academy of Louisville. Okay, you've landed Bo Allen, the quarterback from Lexington Catholic. You've got a lot of these kids from the city of Louisville to commit to Kentucky after Vince Merrill takes over recruiting the state of Kentucky. That's not coincidence. That's not an accident that's happened. And they've all these talented kids from the state of Kentucky that are coming up. Kentucky's on each and every one of them, trying to get them, and the success rate so far has been pretty high.
One of the big concerns for me has been the quarterback position at Kentucky over the years. I mean, we've talked about a couple of greats in Lorenzen and Couch, but it seems like since then it's been can this guy show up this next year and make an impact for the team and help carry? How do we feel about touchdown Terry right now?
I feel pretty good about him, because I think this year Eddie Graham will be able to play to his strengths. Last year they had to play to the Benny Snell's strengths and play to the team's strengths, and this year they'll be able to play to Terry Wilson's strengths. I think Terry Wilson's a better quarterback than Steven Johnson. Steven Johnson had the heart, the leadership, and he won the huddle, he won the locker room. Okay, Terry Wilson, you're a better quarterback. You're better athletically than Steven Johnson, but now you got to go out and win that locker room, win that huddle. Show us the heart that you've got, because I really think he could be a better quarterback than Steven Johnson. And all Steven Johnson did was go back and win back-to-back 7-win seasons for us, and we fell in love with him. Well, Terry won 10 last year. Now go out and show us you're a great quarterback. And I think Eddie Grant, as offensive coordinator, will be able to play to Terry Wilson's strengths this year. The whole key is you got some pretty solid guys at running back. You got Lynn Bowden, who's super explosive there in the slot. You got to get some more targets for him to throw to. Somebody's got to step up. Who's going to be that number 2 target? Who's going to be that number 3 target for you to throw to? You find a couple guys that can develop at receiver, I think you're going to have a really big year for Terry Wilson this year at quarterback.
You were talking about how you guys this summer have been talking about football more than what you have in the past this time of the year. Let's look at the landscape there in Lexington, all the fans and such. Just talking to people, are they more into the football scene right now than maybe years past?
Oh, I definitely think so. Season ticket sales have been up. Everywhere we go, people are talking about it. If you just base it on like T-shirt sales, we sell T-shirts at our remotes. People are buying the football T-shirt sales more than they've ever been. I think just it's been all positive ever since. I think you can go back to the Louisville win last year in football. They pummeled Louisville. You had the big off season going up to the bowl game. They beat Penn State. You had all the positivity going up to signing day. You had a big, huge signing class. Then you had all the positivity going up to draft day with Josh Allen, those guys getting drafted. It's been nothing but positivity coming out over there from Kroger Field and the Kraft Center with football. And I think the fan base is feeling it, and they finally believe. I think they finally believe, you know what? The culture has changed UK football. We are good, and I think they do believe that 7 wins is maybe a minimum this year. I mean, I feel that way. I feel like 7 wins is the minimum this year. And I fully believe it, because the schedule helps them, Trevor. We're not going to be naive. The schedule definitely favors them this year. Their Western opponent is not Auburn, Alabama, or LSU. You got lucky. You got Arkansas at home as your Western opponent this year. That helps you. So I mean, I think they can get 7 wins this year and continue streaking up and moving the program forward.
Ryan Lemon of Kentucky Sports Radio joining us, and it just makes me happy because I like myself. I'm from the Midwest, so college football is definitely a bigger deal to me than college basketball. So it makes me happy that college football is being discussed more in this state. As far as Louisville's concerned, they got a new coaching staff. Kentucky, I hope they keep things rolling. College football, to me, it's the starting point for any university, in my opinion, as far as revenue and getting things where people are noticed more. Just because, I mean, you have so many more fans at a football game than you do at a basketball game. Ryan, Kentucky Jeep and Truck, though, Monday, August 12th, 1 week from the time of this interview right now. Why do people need to show up and support you guys while watching the show 10 until noon next Monday?
Yeah, come on out. It's always a lot of fun. Our shows, like I said, are usually a little off the wall. The summer shows, we don't necessarily talk a lot of sports. We try to have some fun, and Shannon the Dude will be there. I mean, if I'm crying out loud, Trevor, if nothing else, you want to come out and see Shannon the Dude. Anytime there's get him out of his radio station in Louisville, out of his little hole there in Louisville, it's always a big deal. But he'll be there. Matt will be there. I don't know if Drew Franklin's coming as we tape this right now. I don't know if he's going to be there or not on the 12th, but. Yeah, we invite everybody to come on out the 12th of the show. We'd love to see everybody. Have a big crowd there in E-Town because we love coming there. And like I said, we had a big, huge crowd last time. It was really fun. So come on out and see us. We'd love to see everybody.
Kentucky Jeep and Truck is the place to be next Monday, 10 until noon. It's Kentucky Sports Radio. Ryan Lemond will be out there too. Hopefully, people will show up and support this cause, because we've been promoting it for a while now. And there is no excuse, Hardin County. You need to be out there for this show.
Yeah.
And if we need to make it happen, I'm sure Ryan will take his shirt off. Okay, we're not going to go that far.
Maybe Trevor will take his shirt off this time. Maybe we'll do something crazy like that.
Nobody, I promise you, wants to see that. Ryan Lemond of Kentucky Sports Radio joining us here on Heartland Sports Live. Ryan, I appreciate your time as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Anytime, Trevor. You got my number, so just give me a call.
Ryan Lemond of Kentucky Sports Radio. Catch them at Kentucky Jeep and Truck here in Hardin County next Monday, August 12th. That'll be 10 until noon when they do their show. Well, the show has to continue because I have Rick Walters coming in studio next. He's going to be talking to me about the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame. They inducted 12 new individuals over the weekend. We're going to talk about it coming up next. It's Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio. And welcome back into Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio. We've already had a jam-packed show. We've had Central Hardin football in here. Ryan Lemond of KSR on the show as well. Now I welcome Rick Walters of the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame into the studio here with me as we talk about the ceremonies that happened over the weekend. 12 new inductees into the High School Basketball Hall of Fame. Rick, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Let's talk about some of these individuals who appeared over the weekend. A lot of great former players, coaches in there as well. First of all, let's go through the list of people and why the committee chose these individuals.
Well, the committee gets a large list of people that are submitted for the Hall of Fame. It goes to a screening committee, and that screening committee will narrow it down and bring it to the board of directors. And right now we're down to, on average, putting 12 people in. Over the last 5 or 6 years, we were 16 or 18, trying to get to that 100th person in the hall for the 100th anniversary. So now going forward, there'll be 12 inductees.
Let's go through this list and talk about some of, I guess, the accolades of these individuals, because we're talking decades upon decades of experience at the high school level and what the impact they made here on the state. Let's go through a few of these people.
Okay.
I'll let you go ahead and start wherever you feel like. I have a list here that, we have a whole bunch of different schools that were represented, anywhere from Robin Harmon, Charles Hurt, Rick Jones, Steve Miller, a few others. Let's talk about this list.
Okay, well, we'll just start with Steve Miller. Steve was from, he went to high school at Henry Clay High School, 1981 to 84, and he was a KHSA state champion. They won a state championship, first team All-State. Scott Dowd, leading scorer in the high school history. First team All-State. He played at Highlands High School, 1983 to 86. Very prolific scorer. Robin Harmon. She was at Sheldon Clark High School, class of 74 to 78. She was a 3-time All-State honor and all-tournament team honors in the high school basketball state tournaments. That's just a few players. We also like to reach back and get some of the coaches from the past.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the greatest ones here this year, and we've had some good ones, is William Falls, Falls. He was from Hopkinsville Attucks High School. I think I'm saying that right. He was in the class of 35 to 1967 as a coach. He has over 500 wins with 12 trips to the state tournament.
That's kind of impressive.
It is. It's hard to get to the state tournament, much less win it.
You're right.
I mean, we've got one of the winningest coaches in the state of Kentucky here, Ron Bevers, and Ron never won a state championship. He had a runner-up that he ended up with when Paul Andrews hit a 50-foot or so half-court shot to win the game in the last seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you got to go through the district tournament, then the region tournament, and then finally you got to go through, 4 opponents?
At least, yeah, I think that's right.
4 opponents in the Sweet 16. So, I mean, you look at how many extra games you have in the postseason. There's a reason why a lot of people who you think would have had a championship did not, because it's a long season.
Very long, yeah, very long. It takes a little luck, I think, to win a state championship.
Yeah, just a little bit. We have Rick Walters of the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame here with us on Heartland Sports Live. Let's talk about the plan here, because right now you're utilizing the old church building, which you hope to expand off of in what you guys call Phase 2 of the construction process. You have that open grass little plot next to you. When do we expect maybe to see an expansion of the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame here in E-Town?
Well, that may be a while. You know, we've got to raise a lot of money to get to Phase 2. And who knows, with this events that we had over the weekend, there might have been somebody at that Friday night event, the Night of Champions, that goes, this is a good cause. I'm going to make this one of my areas that I'm going to focus on for donations or to help. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to run the Hall of Fame, to keep the lights on, pay the utility bills, and do these events. So we're fine right now, but somewhere down the road we hope to get that grass area filled with that building.
Now, when I first went in there a few years ago now, you had the basketball court, you had a whole bunch of different exhibits going on. Have you added anything new here recently, or has anything changed inside that building?
Not anything recently. There was the 1954 Inez State Championship team photo and their state championship trophy that we had in there. That was on loan from them until they decided they needed it back, which they got it this weekend. They've got a facility down there that they want to put that in locally down there. So the plan is try to get a state championship trophy and picture of a team that won it to put in for like a year's time to let people view the trophies and their photographs. Right now we've got 2 in there that are the 98 and 2000 E-Town boys and girls state championship trophies with their photographs and stuff. So that's filling into place now.
So, yeah, going through the process of going through these other schools to maybe get trophies in there to display for a year, kind of like what other Hall of Fames do. I mean, I'm just thinking of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, for example. They'll bring in a car for a year, or the Daytona Hall of Fame for NASCAR down there. They'll have the Daytona winning car in for that next year, and then the next winner will have their car displayed for a year.
Right.
So I definitely get where you're going with that. What about the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame? Just looking through everybody who's been inducted so far, what has made it unique from maybe other Hall of Fames in other states?
Well, maybe the fact that we're going back as far as the history of high school and coming forward. We just celebrated the 100th anniversary of it, and the plan was to have 100 people in it, which we accomplished. And it's a cross section of coaches, players, women and men's coaches and players. It's a little bit of a menagerie of the whole high school basketball history and the game itself.
A whole bunch of stories were being told over the weekend. I saw some clips and such from over the weekend. A whole bunch of past players who made a name for themselves. I saw Rex Chapman was there, just to name one of the individuals. What does that mean when those guys come to the Hall of Fame? And it kind of makes it bigger, doesn't it?
It does. It gives it some credibility, and when some of the first few classes went in, the building wasn't there. So some of them haven't seen the Hall of Fame. So when those people come back now and we take them in the Hall of Fame, they're just in awe. They can't believe the facility and how it looks and what it's got in them, and they're in there. They're part of it. It gives it some credibility. It really does.
And when people go in there, they will see that there are, I think it's bricks or tiles or something, that has everybody's name on it that's inducted, right?
It's like a towel name on a wall down through there that their names are put up.
Yeah, so
wall.
when you go into the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame, you will see a list of all the people who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame thus far, and then you guys will continue to add on to that. Is there a plan for if that wall ever gets filled up?
That wall will get filled up. It'll be a little bit with this 12 now, but we may have a year that we decide, gosh, we need to put a couple more in. So but when it does, we'll have to find another wall down there. Or use up every wall we got in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the exhibits. Talk about some of the exhibits that you guys have in there right now.
Well, I tell you, we've got a lot of pictures as you come in the entrance to it of past games and players. That's the history of high school basketball. They go back to the 30s and 40s all the way up to the 2000s. And we just recently got nameplates on them, so you know who they are now, where it was played at. A big thing we got for kids as you come up the ramp and start to go into the hall is one of those little shooting basketball goals in there, and the kids wear it out. They love that. We've got a makeshift locker room that you walk into, and we've got 3 coaches' voices. I can't remember all of them right now, that are talking to their team during the game at halftime and stuff. You kind of get the feel for a locker room, and then you go into the main entrance, and a lot of pictures, a lot of history. There's a video interactive display board that shows all 16 regions, and you can click on the region, and whoever from that region is in the Hall of Fame, their information pops up on it. And then we've got a great video at the end of the tour, and you can spend 15 minutes or 2 hours in the Hall of Fame, just whatever you feel like doing. But we've got a 10 or 12-minute video that shows on the wall at the end of it that is really good. It's called The Essence of the Game, I think is what that's called. So.
Yeah, a whole bunch of different things in there. I know there's an old basketball hoop in there, a whole bunch of different things that you can test your jumping ability. And
yes,
such.
Yeah, the kids enjoy that. And there's also a thing in there that measures how tall you are. The kids like that also. But one thing, if I were to happen to be down there and I'm walking with the kids, there's a picture of Darrell Griffith there. And I'll show them, if they know him, I said, now, this is 48 inches right here on this mark here. That's how high Darrell jumped, and their eyes get really big, like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing, the history you learn there. And I guess looking to next year, I guess when is the next ceremony? I'm guessing you're going to try to keep it around the same time every year? It's
about the same time. They've been in July, this first time in August, but it's always going to be about this time of year.
And is there a list that you guys are going to be looking at already for next year?
Yes, there's already a list there. Once somebody is submitted to the Hall of Fame, they're always on the list. There is a little bit of a grading thing that we go through to select them. They move up that list with wins, state championships, players that were all-state, Mr. Basketballs. They kind of float to the top, and then the other people move in as they become available. So,
Rick Walters with the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame joining us here on Heartland Sports Live. Last question for you, Rick, before I let you go. Just the weekend, sum it up in a couple of words, a couple of sentences here. To talk about the excitement that happened over the weekend.
Well, it was just fantastic. I think it exceeded anything that we thought might be there, and it was everything we wanted it to be. We had a lot of the champions who committed came. We had Coach Joe B. Hall. He's not in the best health, but he was there, and he had a great time. Everybody that we've talked to had a fantastic time. I think when we do it again, hopefully down the road, we'll be even bigger. So it was everything that we'd hoped it wanted to be. So.
Well, we're glad you could stop by and talk about it with us here a little bit. I know it was a big weekend here in Elizabethtown for that. Every year, you could say, when that happens, because you get past champions, past players from around the state that a lot of people in this area necessarily didn't get to see or meet, or just because they could have been on the other side of the state from where we're at. To see all of that come together, and you see a collaboration of everything here in the state in one building is pretty neat. It
was probably the biggest event that's had that many champions under one roof together at one time. So, and a lot of those folks hadn't seen each other in a long time too. Some of them coached against each other, some played against each other. There were people there that had never met, let's just say Rex Chapman, King Rex. They're just thrilled to be able to get a picture taken with Rex Chapman or Joe B. Hall. Coach Crum was going to be there, but he's had some health issues also, and he wasn't able to get there. But just a fantastic event.
Rick Walters of the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame. Rick, I appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
And that'll conclude this hour of Heartland Sports Live. I want to thank Central Hardin Football in segment 1, Ryan Lemon last segment, and Rick Walters there with the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame, and you for listening today during this show. I'll have it uploaded tomorrow from our guy down there in Bowling Green. He'll put it up on the Apple Podcast, and you'll be able to download this show tomorrow and go back and listen to any interview that maybe you wanted to listen to. As next week, LaRue County football will be in the studio with me, and I will also have an interview with ESPN's Marty Smith as well. Trevor Rice with you. It's Heartland Sports Live. Have a fantastic sports week. I'll see you next Monday.